with people, we find out things that we have in common and so on. And that's probably the most important part of any presentation you can have. It's not the glossy, it's not the presentation, it's that bonding that is very, very important. Okay, what we'd like to do right now is to look at another way of looking at the Shaklee sales plan to help you as you're putting together your plan, what your business looks like to make an extra $100,000, because where we want to go, as I've said before, as we look at different people's organization, we can talk about it and put in strategy as to what generally happens, where to work, why to work with that person, and why to build down that leg and so on. And there's just various things to look for. And so this is a purpose of these presentations, these Zooms that we're having, because once we understand the sales plan, then we really, really can make sense on the strategy and how to work. And one person who really, really works the numbers very well, and I know sometimes numbers come easy for people and sometimes for others they don't, but we still can take the time to understand it and maybe talk to a person who understands the numbers and they can help you out. But it must be done. It must be done. So that's Nina Staple, and so she's going to share the screen and start explaining things. You're on, Nina.
There we go. Okay, so I am going to share with you the group that I've drawn out for Master Coordinator, okay? This is what it basically looks like, and we started out with this. A part of this is what my group looks like, and then there's addition on here. So the way that I have always shared to learn the sales plan is to draw out the group first and then figure out what the income is, okay? So I have always run high volume, and I set myself at 15,000 because that's where I want to be, is at 15,000. And just don't look at, I just want you to know that that's who I am, is a 15,000 kind of a director. And I'm doing everything that's on here. I'm not mixing up legacy and dream plan because we're not explaining this to anybody anymore. I don't think that's legacy. Whatever group that's there, you figure out the 7% and that's it, okay? So if you noticed here, all the first levels are in red, the second levels are in blue, the third levels are in yellow, and the fourth ones are in green. I've seen people draw these out that they have them in circles and they have their people all over the place, and it's very difficult then to be able to, in my opinion, I try to simplify it. It's very difficult then to show how to make an income. To make this easy, when I've done it for everybody, I never talk 2,000 volume. And a lot of times I will do $4,000, but on this one I did a $3,000 example. In other words, and when I say that, 3,000 PV per sales leader or 4,000 PV per sales leader. And I know that what we talk about is what goes in her head. But this plan is drawn out with 3,000 PV. So if you draw a group out like this, and this is what it looks like, how do you figure the income then? I think it's very important for people to have the dream plan brochure out when they're doing it, so you know. So what you do is you count across how many first levels are there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 first levels. And you have to, each one of these are sales leaders, right? They're all sales leaders. You go by your first level and you have to differentiate these groups. Sorry, I forgot this came first. This is I don't know how else you can figure out infinity accurately. And we'll get to infinity next. But you draw circles around each one of the groups. And now we're going to go, oh, what happened to my other numbers? Sorry, they'll come. So to do, it doesn't matter whether you go across and figure the 7 or the 6, 6, 5, 5, 4 first, or if you figure infinity first. So on the infinity scale, if you have this is master coordinator. There's 43 directors in here. But if you circle them, this is a leg, and that leg has 3,000 way over here on the far, we'll start on the far left. That leg has 3,000 points. And as a master coordinator, you get 7% infinity. So you get the full infinity there. The next one, you get full infinity. The next one is a senior coordinator. And when you have to know what their rank is, because they get a percentage of the infinity. So a senior coordinator gets 2% infinity. That group is 21,000 of volume, and that's because they're all at 3,000 PV. And that, I know that's not normal out there that everybody in your group is going to have the same PV. But when you're trying to figure out the sales plan to get people to understand where their money comes from, it's easiest if they have the same income. So this group is 21,000 because there's 7 sales leaders in there. They get paid 2%. So if they get 2%, then you're going to get 5% because the total infinity is 7 at master coordinator. So on that one, you make 1,000. The next one, if you have an executive coordinator, they get 3%. So then you're going to get 4%. The next one is a director. Again, you get the full percent. Senior coordinator, you get 5%. Senior director, there's no infinity they get, so you get the full percentage. You get 7%. And then this is a key coordinator. They get the 5% of the infinity, and you get 2%. And what's so interesting, every time that I do this, I'm just kind of like blown away. If you look at this scenario, here's a group that's got 57,000 volume, and your infinity on them is $1,140. And you look over here at the senior coordinator, whose volume is only 21,000 total, and you get 1050. The infinity is huge. It doesn't matter at what level that it is. Okay? So on this master coordinatorship, you're going to get 4,770 a month on infinity. Is that part clear to everybody at this point?
I have a question.
Okay.
What is infinity paid on? All the volume or certain things in the volume?
Everything.
Everything. Okay.
Everything. For a while there was a differentiation, but thankfully they finally got rid of that. So it's straight across the board. If you have a legacy leader, there is no infinity paid on legacy. But when you're explaining this to new people, they're not legacy. Okay?
Nina?
So, yes?
Okay, real quickly, because I was having trouble getting in the room and I just got on a little late because I kept trying. So what you're doing is you're adding up the leadership bonus first, and then you're adding up the infinity second, correct?
I have not done leadership
right?
bonus on here yet. So
Okay, so this is all just infinity. Okay, that's what I need to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
and
you.
you have to figure infinity on each leg that you have. And each leg is considered every first level director and whatever is underneath them. Okay? Any other questions on the infinity stuff?
I have another question. So you guys, like you and Roland and Marion, are not legacy. So you can take advantage of the infinity bonuses, right?
The only infinity is on new sales leaders since the dream plan came through.
Okay. So if you're on legacy, then you can get the infinity bonuses on people that are on the dream plan.
Only people that are on the dream plan. You're a legacy leader.
Yeah.
So Marion gets no infinity on you. And Roland gets no infinity on you. He gets no infinity on me because I'm a legacy. Marion is legacy, so there's no infinity on that.
Okay, so,
but I say you're not teaching new people.
Yeah,
legacy.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, this is only for teaching new people for you to understand it.
Because I think
in your case,
the thing that should be clear is that a dream director, senior coordinator, whatever rank, they get legacy too. I mean, I'm sorry, they get infinity too.
Yeah, it does.
Everybody gets infinity except on the person who's been in for a long time.
Right. So
Everybody's.
when you're teaching it, you have to be at senior coordinator level first before you get any infinity.
That's right.
Okay. So if you've got like like on this key coordinator, they get 5%, but they're going to be paying infinity out to this senior coordinator, out to this executive coordinator, and out to this senior coordinator. That's going to all come out of all of, so they're not going to get their full 5% either.
I'm full of questions because this is something that has confused me from the get-go.
And I think it's being made confusing instead of making it simple.
Okay, so I think I have one more question.
That's good.
Let me see. So Roland, you said everyone gets infinity on everyone except on legacy leaders. Okay, so like if I had someone who became a director and developed some directors under me and under them, then you would get infinity bonuses on those leaders because they're in the dream plan, right?
Correct.
Even though you're legacy, you can still receive infinity bonuses on people that are in the dream plan.
Correct.
Yeah, because the legacy is done with as far as what we got paid when the dream plan came out, we will always get paid that same amount on those people. But it's from here forward. And I think that that's the biggest confusion that a lot of people have is what has been done, and we can't change that. But it's the future that we look forward to. And that's where this amazing, I don't know who said it before, or Marion said it on our earlier call, that we used to get paid, when I came into Shaklee, we got paid 5% on first levels, 3% on second levels, and 1% on third levels. And that was it. It was 5, 3, and 1. So when you look at these infinity numbers, and that's only a part of the bonus.
Well, and also, Nina, and Roland, is it okay if I say this? Being a key coordinator, not to confuse anybody, but I get 11% on a first level, and a legacy, I only get 7.
That's right.
But that's not all infinity, Lisa. You only get 5% infinity.
Right. Okay, so I'm only getting really 6%.
No,
leadership.
That's the next part of it. This, what I'm doing here, strictly infinity.
Right. But it's such a difference in income with the dream is what you're saying. It's sure, it really is. I've noticed a huge difference on my.
You're cutting out there, but on this example, there's almost $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year that with the old plan, you wouldn't get paid. Because it was 6 or it was 5 or 7. I don't remember what it was, but it was, you didn't get any of this that I've shared here so far. Infinity is all of its own. Anybody else got questions on that part? No? Okay. So this is the gravy. And then we have our, so I don't want to confuse. Again, I'm only speaking dream here. Because Dream Plan gets paid 20%. That's the highest bonus that they get. And then there's a 15% differential.
You want to explain that, please, Nina?
Okay, so as a Dream sales leader, you get paid 20% on your personal volume.
So that's you and all your customers.
Yes, that's the group where you grow these people out of. So, and if you've got some people who are getting some bonuses, that comes, I always say it comes out of that 15%. That's the sales leader money, because usually you're not going to pay any more than that. But
can you explain how you get that 15% as a sales leader, which is a director and above?
Yes, it's the difference between member pricing and director pricing. It averages about 15%. I say it's a sales leader bonus. And I don't know, I'm hoping that there's nobody on this call that gives that to people before they become directors. That should never be given out. That's my opinion. I don't know if people feel differently than that, but if you do pay that out, there's no incentive for somebody to become a director or above. I mean, because their thinking is so little.
I have a question. So in the legacy plan, what's the price differential percentage between SN and MP?
It's another 9 or 10%.
Okay.
But then that 20% can be all the way up to 34.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when you're teaching this to new people, you do not bring that into the picture at all. Because they don't care what you get. They care what they can have. Okay? So the next thing that happens is our first level directors. All the reds, we've got 8 of them. And so you take your 8 directors, multiply them by 3,000, and you get paid 6% on them. So you're going to get 6% on your first level directors.
Over and above the infinity.
Yes, this is the regular, what do you call that?
I call it standard bonus.
Standard bonus, okay? So, and then we'll go into your second levels. We've got 15 second levels here. 3,000 times your 6% comes out to 2,700. So you've got $45,000 worth of volume there. And then your third level, you get 10, there's 10 on here at 3,000 is 4%. And you get 1,200. And your fourth levels, as a master coordinator, you get paid 4% on that as well. So that's another $1,200. And the older your organization is, the deeper it goes down. So I only on here went 4 levels deep. Now, if you do, you have to have, I think, 6, which is, I don't know anybody that can be a master coordinator and really only have 6 first levels and have a solid group, right? I don't believe that you're going to have a master coordinator with just 6 first levels. That's the base requirement, but it's not real. Is it, Roland?
No.
No. And it's the same thing with most of the ranks. You're going to have more than what's required, except for maybe your senior coordinator. You don't. So on your normal bonuses that you get paid on your first, second, third, fourth, and is there a 5th level you get paid on regular bonuses?
As a master, yes.
Okay, 6, 6, 4, 4. Yes, and a 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any on here. So you're going to get, I call it royalty income. You're going to get $6,500 on your base bonuses, $4,700 from your infinity, and then what my goal is, the 15 always, that's another $5,200. So that comes out to $16,000 a month, which comes out to $198,240. And I have to be honest, my goal has always been 200, and I did this on Dream, not Legacy. It's over 200, so for myself. Any questions on this part of it?
I'd like to point out that you have 9 first levels.
8.
8.
I said
3,
9, yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And generally, the 80-20 rule takes place. And that is 1 out of 4 is going to be adding a lot of people to your business. And now you have 8, so 20% would be 2. So you got this group here, and this is the other one over here that has the most strength. So you got 2 of them that have the bulk of the directors in your organization, directors and above. And so many times people are looking for a lot of people, just like they look for a lot of members, and they end up with a clothesline that we call it a clothesline that goes on forever and ever. And they don't get this group. They don't get this group. And the same thing happens when people get a director or a sales leader. They keep working with this one, working with this one, working with this one. And generally they don't get down to these people. You've got to work down these people. And this is where we put in the strategy and so on once we start understanding the sales plan. But look at the income that is made. This is what you get on these people you brought in. Okay, the standard bonus. Well, here it's double from these people. And these people down at the lower level here, you're getting another $1,200. So you look at this right here, that is 1, 2, 3, that's $4,000 just from people you never brought in. 4,000. That's almost $100,000 a year right there from these people you didn't bring in. So if we keep working with these first levels, you're not going to get down here. You've got to meet these people. You've got to build a relationship with these people, because that's going to spark everything. There's nothing better than for this person to spark this person to do more. What's the spark? This is a spark plug. This gets this person believing it can be done. They're believing they can move to coordinator. They believe that they can go on the Shaklee trip. You're creating a belief in these people. This person says, whoa, I can become an executive. Hey, I can go on all the trips, get a lot of extra for a car and so on. And by the way, this is not figuring what you get for a car.
Yeah, for the trips.
Yeah, for the trips that you get.
The other thing that I wanted to say that I forgot to say doing this, why it's so important to, so you've got a key coordinator and they're going to take off and they're going to start doing a lot of stuff. It's so important to make sure that you've got that outside leg, because there's 57,000 here that the key coordinator has. And if you had 43,000 to make yourself just barely squeak by as a master coordinator, you would not be a master, because you have to have at least 50,000 outside of this key coordinator. So, and you can see that we've got 6, 9, 3, 27, 21, 3, 3, and 15. So it's far beyond what that 50,000 is.
Okay, this may sound a little, what the heck you're talking about, but basically Shaklee doesn't want you to have, say, all your business downline under this person. Okay. Yeah. So there's something preventing that. One is you must have a certain number of first levels to get paid further down line. If you only had one first level director and they had all these sales leaders plus, you're only going to get paid 2 levels. You can't get paid on all these people. So that's one thing that prevents people from just sitting with one leader that gets a bunch of people, that becomes a master coordinator. You're still only going to get here and here. Okay. So the other thing to prevent that from happening, Shaklee says, okay, you can have one good, strong leader, but you better have another one that is 50%, we'll say, of this person's volume. Actually, they're a key coordinator, so you're supposed to have 50,000. I don't want to go into the details on that. I just want to get the point across that you've got to be balanced.
Yeah.
This one doesn't have to be as strong as this one, but you've got to have another group instead of just one strong group. So you got those 2 things preventing that. One is to get paid further down, you have to have a certain number of people first level horizontally. And you must have another good, strong leader in there, not just one.
Are there any other questions on this?
It's okay. There isn't a bad question, please.
No,
because
no.
Many people think, oh, that sounds stupid. No, it's.
Because I guarantee if you've got a question, somebody else is thinking about it.
So the 50%, this is Andre, the 50% rule starts at senior coordinator. That's when you're doing 10,000 in volume, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Correct.
That's when you have to watch. And I think why Shaklee, this is my perspective, I think why Shaklee put that in, they want to pay the people that are doing the work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so you're not sort of riding, like you're doing your 3,000 and that's all you're doing. And you're not giving a leadership aspect to your business, and you're not doing all of the other. That's why I think they put that 50% rule in.
I just found a mistake on here. That senior coordinator in the middle has only got 9,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a senior coordinator, so you'd get the full 7% on that person.
Right. Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to have at least 10,000.
That's right.
They only have 9. Here's something else I'd like to point out. You may be looking at this and saying, "Calabunga, look at all those people." But you must understand, and this is something that's very hard for people to grasp, when you get people motivated, and depth is what's going to do it. By depth, we're talking about work with this person. It influences this one to do more, which is going to influence this one to do more, which is going to influence this one to do more. They're picking up the workload. They're doing a lot to get these people. And so many people look at this as, I've got to get all those people. No, you don't. It's just like sponsoring end members, customers. Many people think 30. Oh, I've got to get all 30. No, you don't. You're only going to get about 8 customers. And if you're doing it right, those customers will get other customers that get other customers. And if you're doing in-homes and so on, no, you don't get all of them. So likewise, you may look at 30 customers and say, whoa, I don't know if I know 30 people. You don't have to know 30. Only 8, 7. The same thing is true here. You don't have to get all these people.
Nina?
Because they're going to help to get other people as well.
Nina?
Yes.
Do you want to, and forgive me, slap me later, do you want to address compression?
You mean that if this person here,
Yes.
If
Say
this
these are
person
all
decides
customers. Say that these are all customers.
oh,
And the green in the bottom becomes the director, that director actually moves up
up to the red.
to the red. Does everybody understand that? And that is one of the unique things, I think, with the Shaklee program. There are a couple of other companies that have programs where you are blocked from getting that income as a director. So basically the concept is nothing can pass a director. Like your income, somebody can't jump ahead of you. But where customers are concerned, if there are 30 customers in a chain in one leg down, and that 30th customer becomes a director, that person that's 30 positions from you moves up as a first level director to you. And that's an exciting part of our program.
Yes.
And that happens
A lot.
more than you understand. In other words, looking at all the first levels that I have, I think there might only be one that was personally sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
The rest came from the second, the third, the fourth, and of course, I know Marion Weimer, who is on this Zoom. I think she was in sponsoring of customers. She was 5th level. And the people in between had 1 year from the time that Marion became a director. They had 1 year to get their tush in gear and start getting active to pick up Marion's group. And they didn't. So therefore, Marion has moved from down here, 6th level customer to a director, has moved on up to 1st level, now a master coordinator. And like Andre said, many companies say, well, this is a person blocking you, this is a person blocking you, these people are all blocking you, and the percentage you get down here is pretty low, if any. And so that, well, you lose thousands and thousands of dollars because of that. So that is called compression.
And sales leaders do the same thing. One of my first levels was eight down leaders, 8 leaders down. And those other ones kind of fell along the way. And she's been a sales leader now for, I don't know how many years. But I wasn't getting paid on her when she first came in.
Roland,
Yes.
we have 8 first levels, and only 2 of those were sponsored by us.
By you.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, I only knew two people, and I really didn't know them. Actually, they called me, and Jay pointed it out on the last Zoom we was just doing. Linda called me, and I ended up sponsoring them, but I didn't know them before they called me. So, and I'm not sure about, yeah, that would be, that's how they would have come in. So that would actually bring it down to, well, no, I didn't know the other one either. So anyhow, I actually didn't know any of our 8 first levels. No. So.
Well, it's interesting. It's similar in my situation because I talk about Madeline and Roger Trottier being the people who were first level to me, but they really were not in sponsoring, because when I was in the service station, the guy said, "You want to feel better?" And he told me to go to Madeline and Roger's house to find more about the products and so on. And out of courtesy, she put his name on the application because he talked to me first. So in sponsorship, I was second level. And that guy, by the name of Jack Consiglio, I will never forget his name, he owed the Trottiers $80, and they never saw him again.
Oh.
And he owes them $80, and he left town. And because he didn't stay with it, if he had stayed with it in that position, he'd be earning about $150,000 a year. So for $80, he's losing $150,000.
That's wild.
Jack Consiglio. Yeah.
When I was at a meeting at Indianapolis about 5 years ago, there was I don't know if he was a key coordinator or a master or what, but I asked him, I said, "What's your best piece of advice for me in Shaklee?" And he didn't hesitate. He said, "Never quit. Never quit this business, or you will regret it."
That's right. There are a lot of stories that people came along and they happened to talk to somebody, and that person talked to somebody, and bingo, that person went on to build quite a business. And so it is very important to understand what it takes, how it works. And this is where, if you have questions, please ask questions when we do these. Or there may be some things that come up during the week, ask questions. So as you're putting together the diagram of your group, then I want to look at these diagrams, send them to me. So that way we can talk about it. And I can find out, where are you working? Who is your strong one? You're really only looking for one strong one at a time to begin with. You look at most people who become directors, they generally have one strong leg under them. And it's your job to help them to get other legs going down. But that's generally the way it happens. One strong leg. And so where's going to be the strength? I don't advocate that people try to build more than 2 legs down at the same time, because your goal is to get back in there and work with somebody in the next week and a half. I mean, you got to get back in there. What happens, many people may do an in-home presentation and everybody gets excited, sell a bunch of products, and they say, "I have a business builder." No, you don't. You have somebody who's excited. You don't have anybody who's a business builder probably until they have become senior director to start. I don't think most directors are business builders. They've got volume and they're making a little more money. But most of them are just riding on some good excitement and so on, and they're starting to learn things. But they really don't understand what makes for a strong business. And maybe it's not even until executive that people really start learning. So don't fool yourself. So I cringe when people say, "Yeah, I sponsor somebody in, so I've got another business builder." I think, well, no, you don't. It doesn't happen that way. Questions? What are you thinking? Is it kind of confusing to you, or are you starting to figure this thing out?
Well, I'd like to thank Nina for throwing that up because I don't know if you've had time to look at the one I sent you, Roland, but I had definitely had Roger paying me a little bit too much on the Infinity. So it helped me understand the Infinity some. The other thing I could tell everybody is I thought I have a pretty good understanding of the dream plan in my head. But until you put it on paper and you see what it takes to make $100,000, it's a whole different animal. And it's at that point where you really, you know that you need to work in depth until you put it on paper. And when you put it on paper, there's no other choice but to work in depth because you can't get there without working in depth.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Steve. The other thing I'd like to comment on is Nina's showing a very, very high volume, personal group volume. We want people to definitely do, if you're going to build an organization, that's 7,000. But the question may come up, how do you get that high volume? Well, you get the volume, of course, it goes back to building in depth, and you're going to have some people who say, oh man, I really want to do this thing. I really want to do it. And so they may end up with a group that's doing about $800 volume a month. But they never go on to become a director. Maybe somebody else does, but you're still left with that $800 volume every month coming in because they may have 10 customers under them. And so you get an 800, and a 700, and a 600, and so on. Pretty soon that adds up, plus the people you may have personally that are ordering, or a few people here and there. But it's those groups, those pockets. And that all came about because you spent some time and you did some meetings. So that's why I've got pockets that are doing, some of them $1,000 a month, and they just don't want to move on. $1,000 a month.
And Roland, if this wasn't my thing, I wouldn't have done 15,000 on there. I think that that's important not to inflate it for new people like that, because it becomes too unbelievable.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that's because of being in this business for 39 years and losing sales leaders.
But here's the thing you must understand, the reality that most people don't think is true. And that is, when you start building in depth, you're going to end up with at least 3 people, maybe first, second, and third, who are going to inspire a lot of other people. And as I was doing the interview with Richard the other day, I was explaining that from having a few customers to, I think it was about 3 months, I had 80 people coming to a weekly meeting in the house. Fortunately, there was a parking facility or next door where there's a little Dairy Queen thing that closed about 5 o'clock, so we could park cars over there. And like I told Richard, I says, like the Beverly Hillbillies took all the large furniture out and set it behind the house. The couch, chairs, so we could bring in folding chairs. And fortunately, it was a long living room, and people were sitting on the floor. They were standing on the side walls, about 80 people, okay? So within a matter of 4 months, going from a volume of business of a little over 1,000, the volume jumped to 15,000, personal volume. Because you had all these people wanting to build, and they were building on up to director and so on. And so it was not uncommon. You talk to Dee Dee Shaw, who's going to be speaking in Chicago, and she says they had the same thing. You get what I call pandemonium growth. It's just like working with animals. You get three animals out the gate, then they all go out the gate. The 3 is a number, and we're going to be working on these things that make this explosive, I call pandemonium growth, which many times scares people and they shut it down because they just, oh man, first thing they say is I'm overwhelmed. And when I hear somebody say they're overwhelmed, we've got to talk, because they will shut it down to reality in their mind. They'll shut it down. Because chances are, if you are a director or you're getting started in Shaklee, you will only have pandemonium growth once in your career. And you want to make that grow as, you may have certain people in your group have pandemonium growth, but you'll never have it for your total group because it's just a whole different level of thinking. It's kind of like, what happens with a guy who's dancing at a concert? He may not be able to do it again, get all those people dancing, but you do it once. And that's where a lot of people don't realize it's getting the right combination, but you got to get 3. And so we've got to understand that these things happen. And that's why learning the sales plan, we've got to be prepared for this to happen. And if we're not prepared, then we're not going to be finding or seeing the opportunities for such incredible growth. But talk to Dee Dee Shaw, and I think after the 4th month, their personal group volume was 50,000. Paul Stump used to do 30 and 40,000 personal volume a month from customers.
And today, Roland, we multiply that times, isn't it 3?
What do you mean?
What I mean is if they were doing 50 today, that would be equivalent to 150,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The number of products that moved out the door.
And quite frankly, what happened is that a lot of people used to do higher volumes. In fact, the people who do the higher volumes in the Osterhaus group are the people who came in a number of years ago. Why? Because it was a different format. It was a different, not a plan. Yeah, the plan was different, but that wasn't it. People had to invest $3,000, $4,000. Therefore, you didn't worry about whether the phone was heavy or not. You didn't worry about that, Marilyn. You didn't worry about, is this the right time to call them or not? You didn't worry about that because that's equivalent to over 10,000 today. So if you came into Shaklee and you had to invest $10,000, then, hey, you'd probably look at it differently. So you're going to look for higher volume because people coming in today, they always look at the minimal. And that's why so many people do minimal volume. It's you as a leader that must be talking 5,000 to these people. Do not ever talk minimal. Never, never, ever, never. And so when Shaklee said, okay, you don't have to have all these products, volume started going down.
Mhm.
All the thinking. It's all the thinking. And then, I mean, let's face it, there was a time when Shaklee said all you have to do is get 3 people to buy a big kit.
Oh, dear.
You're at the director level. That was suicide. It was in their literature. It got people thinking minimal, minimal, minimal. You've got to change that.
Right. Roland,
And yeah, go ahead.
oh, just a second. I just lost it.
Minimal volume. Yeah.
Anyhow, I know. On the website, when you tune into the website, that new website thing, not the one they come up with a year ago or so.
Right.
You've got, what have they got? At the first thing is your 100 PV that you got to do, and then the next frame is 2,000. I get so aggravated at that. I see that thing and I think, why in the world? I mean, I don't think I ever did 2,000, and I'm not bragging about that. I mean, I've always done high volume, always.
Yeah, it is a tragedy because everything they show you there is a minimal to get to this, minimal to get to this,
Exactly.
minimal to get to this.
Exactly.
People will always do what the expectation is. And I always go back to, it used to be 3,000.
So the expectation is that if you're going to go to make an extra $100,000 a year income, the expectations are that you'll be doing
You are disappearing for some reason, Roland. I don't know if you touch something, there's no voice.
They will. You and I get it. There's no voice from me.
Now it's back. Now you're back.
Can you hear me now?
Coming in?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't talk higher volume and see higher volume for yourself and talk higher volume for your people, you will never, chances are you will never get $100,000 a year income. You won't do it. What'll happen?
I figured out how much money I needed to make. And then I thought, well, here, you know, we got to do more volume. And because the more volume you do, the more products you move, the higher the percentage or the higher the bonus check is. So absolutely. Oh my. I just, you know, I feel bad for these people that have come in behind us.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they see 2 or 3. And man, there's so much more out there. So many more people to help. How many more does it take to help, you know, to get another 1,000, another 2,000, to get to 5,000?
And the problem is then that's where the focus goes. What 2 is 3,000 and then they struggle or 2,000 and they struggle and struggle and struggle to try and do 2 or 3,000 because that's what they got in their head as their expectation.
And so if a person has minimal volume in their mind, you can't build other people because you're thinking so low yourself. You've got to have higher volume in order to tell other people that they can have higher volume. And so the tragedy is that people are looking at doing even just 3,000 volume, and they're thinking, well, each volume has a different level of thinking. In other words, at one time, Shackley had 1,000 to become a director, which about caved in the company because it was so minimal to be a director. At that level, the thinking is, boy, I sure hope I do it, but I don't know. The 2,000, I've gone over this with Roger, the 2,000 level of thinking is, I sure hope it works, but if not, it's not my fault. 3,000 is where people start taking on a little ownership and trying to get creative. They don't get creative at 2,000. 4,000 is where they now get at a higher level of creativity. You keep moving up in your creativity as your volume goes up. So if you're up at 5,000, 6,000 volume, you have very high creativity, which is going to benefit everybody you try to bring in. At 2,000, 3,000, you don't have enough creativity. The thinking isn't there.
And the company average was always 5,000 for years and years and years and years.
Yep. And it is nowhere near that now.
I know that because they've lowered the expectations.
They lowered the expectations. It's all in the thinking, folks. We must change the thinking. So I would like to hear also, not as we discuss sales plans and so on, I would like to hear what you're doing to get your volume up another 3,000. What are you doing? I want to hear from Nina. What is she going to do to get that 15? She's generally at least 10 or more.
Yeah.
But what is she going to do? What am I going to do to get that higher volume? I know Jean got smart because she gets paid not only wages or salary, or not a salary, but an income based on hourly wage, but she also gets extra money when the volume is higher. Okay, starting at 10,000. So she got creative and she started sending catalogs out to people. And I just went ahead and did it. I said, Jean, I said, that is so creative in doing that. Well, what do you think? The volume went up for the total group, 3,000 in 1 month. I mean, and like Shanna was talking about, just calling some people. Maybe they haven't ordered in a long time. You don't have to try to get an order, but it's going to generate some orders. Plus, it does so many good things for your thinking. You may hear people say, oh, yeah, I got to get back into shackling. I'd like to use more products, but they're so expensive. Wow, what an opportunity for an in-home. You don't get creative with low volume. Any other comments or questions? We're at an hour here. It's been good. It's been really good. I want to thank Nina for going over that. We're going to look at somebody's group again next time so we can start putting in strategy. And I want to hear from you as to how you're going to raise your volume. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. Thank you for being on. We'll talk next week, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Roland. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.